So today we're talking about some tools that you will come across in rigid heddle weaving, some of which are essential and others are optional but handy. So first of all, this is one of the most essential tools that you'll be using. It is the reed. This is a 7.5 dent reed. Most rigid heddle looms will come with a 7.5 or an 8, and you can add to these later as you go along, but this is a good size to start with. Another thing that you would be using is a warp separator. So when you're winding on the warp, you need to be putting some sort of, these are cardboard strips, but you need to be putting some sort of barrier in so that your warp rolls on smoothly. You should get some of these with your loom, and if you don't, you can use a roll of paper. You can cut your own cardboard strips. Okay, another essential is a stick shuttle, and of course the yarn that comes with it, which you'll be using to weave the weft with. For threading, you need some sort of threading hook. I've got a couple of different ones here to show you. This is for threading through the smaller slots in the heddle, and this one is for weaving through the larger slots. Now, I don't really like this one so much personally. Because of the metal that's sharp there, it kind of splits the yarn as you pull it through, and that really annoys me. But I've got this fantastic one, which is a combination of this and this. On this end, it's got the smaller threading hook, and on this end, it's got the reed hook. And I find this one really good. It's just plastic. Just costs a few dollars from a weaving supply store, and I find that one really good. Another thing that you would find will come in very handy is a tapestry needle, especially if you plan on doing any hem stitching. And this is a little bit pitiful. This is my inch ruler. I know, it's tiny. It's a broken piece of ruler, and it's also got a chip out of it. So it's a bit sad, but it's the only inch ruler I've got, and you know, I could go out and buy another inch ruler, but this works fine. It's got a whole inch there, and that's all I need for figuring out my set, so I just stick with this one for now. This is a warping peg, and these are clamps that go with the warping peg, and you also, with your loom, you should get another clamp, and that's for clamping the actual loom to a table if you want to clamp it to the table. Some people will warp their loom while it's on the stand. I prefer to clamp it to a table because it's fairly sturdy. And the warping peg is what you would be taking your warp around and back to the loom, around and back to the loom. Pair of scissors. Yep, you're going to need those. A tape measure. Yes, this little piggy is actually a tape measure. There you go. Tape measure I use all the time, constantly. Now, those are the essentials. For optionals, I've got a little beater for those times when you might be doing something like you would have seen in my croak rod videos, when you need to pack the weft down tighter than the reed can do for you. Then you have a little beater. These are also fairly cheap. And of course, if you don't want to go and buy every gadget and gizmo, you can just use a fork. You can just use one with wide spaces between the tines is better. You can use a wide tooth comb as well. This one is an S hook. Bet you can't guess why. These are really handy. Once again, not essential. These are for the times when you might have a broken warp thread, or for some other reason you need to weight an extra thread or a group of threads. This is a really good weight because you can just tie a slip knot in your yarn, stick it over there, and it hangs off the end. Other people use other things for weights, really, whatever works for you and whatever you've got at home. This one is of interest to a lot of people. This is a second heddle kit. So this is for if you want to weave with 2 heddles instead of 1, which you may use for double weaving, double layer weaving, and for weaving really fine yarns where you need to get a good set. I'm not going to go into these in a lot of detail, but that's what they look like, and they attach to your loom. Most looms will have an attachment. Another thing is the notebook. Always have a notebook nearby. I always do, because I'm so forgetful. If I don't have a notebook, I won't remember to write things down, and then I'll make mistakes, the same mistakes over and over. And also, if you come up with an idea for your next project, which you inevitably will while you're weaving, write it down. I just write everything down in here that I might want to remember later on. And I didn't really mean to have this in the video, but it was here anyway. Yes, it's my beloved mug, and it's often full of coffee or tea. So whether that's an optional extra for you or an essential, for me it's an absolute essential. Okay, thanks for watching, and if you've got any questions about any of these tools, leave me a comment and I'll get back to you.